Good morning, everyone. I think I've had the pleasure of meeting a number of you and hope to meet more. As Mark said, I'm Sue Thaden. I'm actually the president of CRI, IT consulting firm in Nebraska. Started it in 1999. And I'm the incoming president of the association. So I thought I'd take a minute and tell you a little bit about my background and then a little bit about how TechServe has impacted our organization along the way, and then wrap it up and introduce our diamond sponsor. So that said, my background a little bit. I started the company in 1999, and we do staffing and solutions and some other verticals. And that said, we have many people's fingerprints in this room on our organization, and we have really TechServe to thank for that. So a little bit about my philosophies, and we'll dive into some examples. I said this when I co-chaired the 20th anniversary, so bear with me. I am a strong believer that if I'm invited to a party, I'm probably going to come. And if I'm going to come, I'm going to have a great time. It's up to me. I came to the party, have some fun, make it great. I feel the same way about TechServe. If we decide we get invited to the conference, everybody's paid to come, we're here, let's make it great. Let's interact with each other and share with each other and network a little bit. Kind of believe in the give and take teeter-totter, and hopefully the give's greater than the take. So that's a little bit about how I feel about the TechServe relationship. And walking through just a few examples, you know, I might explain the board of directors. It took me 5 or 6 years to kind of understand this president and the CEO. So many of you might know this, but just for a refresh, TechServe runs a really lean staff, and they do a phenomenal job. And in order for us to be a high-performing association, you need to get the members to get involved. So Mark Roberts is the CEO of TechServe. They have a phenomenal staff. Then the board of directors is owners and leaders of organizations such as myself, and we're volunteering to support the association for more value for the members in the industry. So just want to keep that clear in everyone's mind. There's an opportunity for everybody here to even put their fingerprints more on TechServe. So I want to walk through just a couple examples of, first of all, how I got into TechServe, and then some give and takes, if I can be simple like that. So starting the company in 1999, I was a salesperson. You should have seen my financial plan. And so as we got going in the industry, I had a lot of questions, like how do you know if it's a good comp plan or not? How do you know if you're the right profitability? How do you know? So I knew one guy in the industry. He owned about a $350 million company, and I called him up. And I said, hey, Rich, Sue Thaden, I was a rep at that company. I met you at a dinner one night, and I have a few questions. Do you mind giving me some answers or helping me out? And yeah. Okay, cool. I'll try not to waste your time. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks, Rich. I don't want to waste your time. No, call me anytime, Sue. Call me anytime. Great. Let me know if I can help you. I hang up. Start listing things that I'm running into. I don't know what to do with that. I'm curious what other people are doing with that. I'm curious what other people are doing with that. What can I do for Rich? So he said, call me anytime. So I called him a couple weeks later. Hey, Rich, Sue Thaden, do you have a minute? Oh, sure, Sue, I have a minute for you. Great, I have a couple things I was curious about. You know, I'm trying to put a different recruiting plan in place and trying to figure out how you keep it rich enough, you attract and retain that great talent, but not so rich we can't afford it a year from now. Oh, sure, Sue. Walks me through great information and trying to be concise and to the point, so he'll take my call again. So I'm ready to hang up the phone. Thanks, Rich, I appreciate it. I really appreciate your support and your help. Let me know if I can do anything for you. And he said, oh, call me anytime. Great. Again, repeat. Got this list. Okay. I call Rich. Hey, Rich, Sue Thaden. He goes, Sue, you know what you ought to do? You should join NACCB. Because there's more answers out there than just my phone call. There's a lot more people out there that you could network with that have great ideas. And I thought, oh, okay. One of our internal themes is build the plane in flight. So here I am signing up and head to NACCB TechServe Now conference going, I have no idea what's going to be at this, but Rich says it's going to be great. So that first year going to the conference, my goal was to figure out what are the metrics people are using so they don't crash their planes. And so the first year I came away, you know, fire hosed a little bit and great initial metrics for the knowledge level that I had, built some great relationships. So now I'll just walk through a couple, if I can be simple, gives and takes that I've experienced to try and draw some examples for you guys to think about how we can all share with each other. First give is pretty obvious. Joined the board of directors and wanted to do some support and giving back if my strengths could support the mission. Involved in panels on the annual conferences and things, an effort to, if I have something that contributes to help what we're trying to accomplish. A take, I joined a roundtable, TechServe sponsored roundtables, and they put about 7 or 8 of us CEOs together, and we had a facilitator, and basically here we are, and I know many of you are in similar relationships, 9 years later, and we've built, we share metrics quarterly. And anyone can build this in this room. It's just up to us to do it. We share metrics with each other. You know, what are you seeing for stops and starts? What are you seeing And we share business plans. What are you planning? You're planning, you know, Al Bates talks that 5%, 7%. What are you planning for next year? When the economy was going down, how are we planning for that? You know, there's just got to be a plan no matter if we're up or down. Building relationships. There's nothing like getting off that island and looking at someone else that feels half crazy like you do sometimes. So just a ton of give and take goes on in the roundtable. Another give example, a guy I got to know, he's a TechServe member, and he's out east, and he's looking to get into the federal government contracting business. So he called me up about 3 weeks ago and said, "You're top secret cleared, right?" And I said, "We are." "Great, great. Do you think you could help me out with this deal we're trying to figure out?" So I grabbed our COO. We spent probably 3 or 4 hours on the phone with he and his COO, his head of sales for DC. Went back and forth, did some business planning back and forth with them, and really just helped them launch to the next step. And I think that's that give. He called, he needed something. I'm sure I'll need something someday, and it's just good to work with people that make you feel better. Another a little take situation. So I started the company in '99, and I didn't have enough money to start it. So I raised money from vendors, that would have been great. I'm introducing Matt O'Connor from Monster. Maybe we'll talk later. But so at any rate, raised money from investors. And about 6 years into it, the investors were much more sophisticated than myself, and they had this grand buyout plan. Didn't really align with my goals. I realized I loved the company more than a fat wallet at the moment. And it just didn't put things in the right spot for our employees. So what I did is I reached out to a couple people that are actually in the room here today. Said, "Holy moly, you won't believe what I got to figure this out. How do I make sure I'm valuing it right? How do I have these conversations?" And I felt my back against the wall a little bit, not victim at all, but just never been in that situation. These guys kind of surprised me. And I was able to have conversations with people around the country. I remember literally my husband and I were pulling into a restaurant to have dinner, and I had this like wobbly, I'm not sure what to do. And somebody in this room, who's the CEO now of a large organization, called me up and said, "Somebody told me to call you. I've got some ideas for you. I know how to evaluate organizations. I'm going to email you a list of things you should be considering right now, and I have some ideas for your conversation." I can't tell you, that paid for 10 years of TechServe membership. So those relationships are just outstanding. And kind of keeping on that give and take, within the last year, a guy I know in California called me up and said, "I'm hiring a sales manager. I've never been a sales manager. I've never hired a sales manager. Will you interview my sales manager?" "Yeah." "So what do? You make time." So over the next week, I made time, and I did 3 interviews. It was the evenings. You know, you got kids and you got work. And interviewed his sales managers and gave him my feedback as best as I could. But again, we're just advancing the ball for each other. It helps everybody get across the line. Then another take. So the year, 2008, the economy was starting to go down. And annual conference, you go listen to The Economist. We had our sales manager with me. And I said, "We got to get in there. We know things don't sound good, but we just got to be clear on what's going on, right?" "Right." So we get in there, and as he starts telling the stories, there's good, there's bad, but all these jaws are like, holy cow, next year's going to be horrible. And so I'm looking at my sales manager, and I'm thinking, okay, she has to go back and motivate the troops, and she looks like, her dog just died. So we get out, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, he explains the economy, and what your A, B, C, D, and here's where we are, and here's what you do. So I'm thinking, cool. He told us, lean up, hoard cash, get focused. I'm like, that's all we're going to do. So we're walking out of there, and I look at our sales manager, and I'm thinking, holy moly, I'm going to have about a $500 bar tab to pick her up. I looked at her, and I said, "How you doing?" She goes, "Man, at least we know what we're facing." And that's that clarity and confidence. It's not always great, but it gives you clarity and confidence. So that was fantastic. It saved me a bar tab, and actually we had a lot of fun. So the next give, we do solutions work. We're kind of building a plane in flight, so no expert here by any stretch, but we're having some success. So we had a guy that I know through TechServe here. He called me up probably 6 months ago and said, "We have a great opportunity for a project. I don't know anything about it." Probably not best. He knows who I'm talking about. But so I said, "You know what we'll do? Let's get on the phone." So I have this give thing, So he and I got on the phone for about an hour the next night. There's always a timing to these RFPs. You don't have 6 months to get ready for it. We walked through the proposal, and basically it led us to grab our VP of Solutions, who's here with us now, and his head of sales, and we spent about 90 minutes on the phone. We sent him all of our RFP templates, all of our proposal templates, and walked him through how he could present and some options and some things to think about so he could make a well-informed decision about it. And that's just one of those things you just do. And you know what was really cool about that? I think we got more out of it than he did. So the next day, I come into the office, get back from a lunch meeting, and there's this giant basket with this expensive bottle of Dom Perignon and these gourmet chocolates and this cool card I should have brought to show you that looked like the font looked handwritten, and it said, Sue, thanks to you and your team for helping us get it great. Our slogan's get it great. And it was just really cool. So I showed it to the whole office and said, this is how we need to treat people. Because internally we have get it great slogan, started about 7 years ago. Let's get it great for our client. Let's get it great for our employee. Let's get it great for our vendors. Everybody, just have it, get it great. Gig is our thing. We're kind of the gig team now. So then the next, I might grab one more thing and then wrap it up. But last year, the vendors that are involved with this association blow my mind. I mean, what we're able to do at a conference for airline, airfare, hotel, and everybody's time. Probably can't put a dollar amount to that. Some of us might think our time's worth more than others. So last year, we were going to review applicant tracking systems. So our VP of Ops came out, before we came, actually tapped someone out of St. Louis that had just evaluated applicant tracking systems. And they said, you know what, why don't we share our template of how we evaluated them? Wow, thank you. So we took their template, and this fits, this doesn't, this fits, this doesn't. Okay, we're going to go to conference and evaluate according to these criteria. So we were fortunate to set up 5 demos with 5 great vendors in 2 days, and she was able to back-to-back get to know the individual, face-to-face, get to know the organizational culture, because you can feel that when you're around people like that, and make a well-informed decision in 2 days. It was fantastic. So the innovation that they push us toward, I just can't emphasize enough. So in closing to my comments, I guess, so here we are, day 2, kind of, halftime in the conference, and I'm sure you've met many people. I'm sure people have a lot of takeaways, pages and pages of notes. But I really encourage everybody to make sure and connect with a couple people that you haven't connected with before. If you think about, what am I trying to get done in 2012? What's that game-changing thing if I could figure it out? And who around here can help me with that? And more importantly, be open and sharing with everybody around here. I know I'm impressed with all the people I've been fortunate to speak with while I've been here. But if we pause and think about, make sure we're getting things out of it, and then let's think really big for 2012. So when we come back next year and the conference is 41% bigger again, the staff's going to love me for that, but 41% bigger again, and we can share with each other and come prepared and make sure we get a great deal out of it and we give a great deal to each other. That'd just be fantastic. So in closing, like I started with, if I'm invited to a party, I can have a good time. So I'm invited to the conference and having a great time, getting a lot out of it, and I hope you all are too. And I'm honored to be president for 2012.